Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Mashonda Shines. Welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. Ooh, y'all, we've been rocking and rolling this year. We are in April and I'm smiling from ear to ear because I feel like when I'm reaching out to people, they're saying yes. And I'm like, yes, thank you for saying yes. But I'm just always grateful to bring a variety of stories to you and a variety of people to you because everyone has a story that needs to be told. And we've all had a first. Okay. Maybe that didn't sound too well, but I mean like a first triathlon experience. Get your head out of the gutter. First triathlon experience. And we have stories that definitely need to be heard and shared so that those of us who are listening, wanting to try, won't necessarily pick up on some of the bad things that we did when we were trying our first try. And today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I met this couple. I went to Lake Placid last year for the first time, and I stayed at the team house, Barlow's team house. And as I was driving up, this tall, curly head white guy comes. I was like, "Hey, how can I help you? What do you need help with? Can I carry your bags?" And I'm like, "Yo, well, hold up. How are you? Who are you? Let's back up." But he was so friendly and had a Normatec booth. Was like, "Hey, I got this gun for you. You want to shoot this gun?" Because we were all like working out, and it was just like so friendly. And then this young lady comes in, and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Who are these people?" But they were just so fun, so loving. Then I found out they are the dopest crew couple taking pictures of us athletes. You probably know who I'm talking about. They are the couple behind the Nordica Photography. Yes, I am talking about Lynette, Netty Nygard, and Mark Evans, y'all. We're just going to talk about their story. I'm not going to even introduce them more because I already did. Mark and Lynette, welcome to Try Beginner's Luck. How y'all doing?
Yeah, doing great. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulty. We're good with photography, not really good with Zoom, but yeah, we're
Love
doing well.
this.
Thank you for that kind introduction.
Oh man. Y'all
I-
are just some dope people and just kind. I remember when I was in North Carolina, I reached out to you guys, but it didn't work out for us to connect in August. But I was just like, man, you're just the kind of people who people just want to be around. But let's just be clear. Most triathletes are like that. Like we're just some cool people who just love each other's company because we're just cool people. And y'all are just that.
agree.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lynette?
It's a really fun group and it's a really family type group, at least with my introduction to triathlon community. It's unlike any community I've been a part of.
I think the sport itself lends it to, you know, it sends me back to when I was a kid. We always stuck together as kids because we suffered through some of the same things. And I think anytime you have some similar experiences with someone, there's an automatic bond there. It's uncanny. It's unrehearsed. It's organic, and I think that's what the triathlon community is about. And I think that's probably the thing that people take away the most when they get involved with it is like, I just went for a long run and I was in pain and I was screaming and yelling, and now I have a bunch of friends who know exactly how I felt. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's about right. That's about right. It's like you pick up friends along the way.
for sure.
Yeah. So the Nordica photography, you guys take some bomb pictures, and I think my first time seeing a drone up close and personal was with you because you're like, yeah, I'm going to take this picture around Mirror Lake, and you were showing me all the cool stuff you were going to do. And then I realized who you guys were and was like, wait, hold up.
You're making us sound like celebrities.
Yeah, we're gonna hire you
You
for
can,
marketing.
but you kind of
Um,
are. You're like the rock star celebrities of photography. I mean, you guys take really great pictures. How did you guys get into that? And what made you say, we're going to go around taking pictures of um, professionals and age groupers and giving them a opportunity to capture the moment in their race? Like, what was that for you guys to say, hey, this is what we're going to do?
I'll be, I don't want to be too corny, but in a word, love, right? So we fell in love. She's a photographer. I'm a triathlete, and it's just seemed like a natural thing to pair the two. We're both really big fans of the sport, and we understand that a lot of the sport is done when you're alone. There's a lot of incredibly human emotion and um, just visceral moments that aren't captured in the sport. And we thought it'd be great to use our resources and try to capture some of that for folks. And I think that's really what made us celebrities, in air quotes, is just doing something nice for somebody. It's kind of unbelievable how just taking a picture of somebody and giving it to them makes a person feel. And I think for us, that's what surprised us the most. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe you took a picture of me. Thank you so much. And we're like, okay, yeah, it took 2 seconds, and I don't really know your name, but we wanted to give this to you. And the response to just a simple act of kindness has been worth it all, you know.
I think the gratitude for what we do has definitely pushed us to keep doing it. I mean, it evolved big time. It's been less than a year since we started. I mean, I have a little bit of photography background, but the sports field was definitely new. So I shot his race in Galveston last April, and he used some of the pictures, and then his team at the time used the pictures, and it was
Yeah, if you go to the Boco Instagram page, you'll see a very sweaty, curly-haired white guy, as you put it, uh, in a Boco hat.
Mark, you know I didn't call you a sweaty white guy. I didn't say
Well,
that.
well, no, I
curly
wasn't.
hair,
You said
right?
curly-haired. I think
I
it
did say curly hair though.
was, which is incredibly accurate. Very, very accurate description. But
Oh,
yeah,
shucks. Wait
well,
a minute. I'm having a moment here. This is a little woo woo. Woo woo woo. This is your first year of doing the Nordica photography. So,
as
like,
as triathlon photographers,
as
yes.
triathlon photographers, and this is April. So, happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, it's about this time last year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow. This is so
serendipitous, right? That's a good
it
word.
it is. As you can
Yeah,
see, I'm kind of like having a moment,
yeah. Well,
because this is what it's all about. And I didn't even know because I just thought you guys had been around for so long because I think sometimes I've lost a sense of time within the last couple of years.
oh
So
yeah, for
you see
sure.
stuff on Instagram and you just think it's been there for years, and wow, a year.
Yeah,
Wow. And you've done some big races.
yeah. We traveled to quite a few. Um, that's the thing. We both have jobs. We're very fortunate to have a lot of flexibility and go to races.
Yeah.
We always shoot if one of us are racing. So we have our races that we shoot, and then we schedule other races throughout the year. We were just down in Clash, Miami. We were just there to shoot. Actually, we weren't
Yeah.
there for any other reason but to take pictures of people. It's kind of weird, but drive 14 hours, take pictures of folks, and introduce yourself. And they're like, "Yeah, you're crazy," but the good crazy. So
You make a lot of
Crazy.
friends that
yeah, we
way.
make a ton of friends. So it's awesome. And then when people come to town, like when you come to town, we try to reach out and say, hey, come on over and let's be crazy together for a little while. But
Wow.
it's awesome.
good stuff. There's a lot happening here, y'all. So we're gonna uncover it. But I'm just having some, just one of those feel good moments because what I also know, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but Nettie is still within her first year of trying, and she's done 3 triathlons so far, which she's done a sprint and Olympic in a 70.3, but she's in her first year. They're in their first year together in business. Wow, that's big stuff.
It's been a big year.
Yeah.
I think it's quite amazing how much your world can change in less than a year.
Yeah.
Just doing something by accident. I mean, the first race of his that I shot, I was just like, hey, I'll take my camera. I've never shot a race before, but I'll try to get some pictures. And, same with the triathlon thing. He's like, hey, there's a sprint this coming weekend. If you want to try triathlon, it's local. You might as well try it, but you should probably start swimming. So.
Now, did you know how to swim or did Mark coach you through that? Like, because Mark is okay, let's back up. Yes, Nettie is new, but Mark is a G in the sport, right? Like he's been doing this for a few years and he's
For years.
accomplished a lot. Like he's
That's right.
accomplished a lot.
When you said it looked like the photos have been there for a long time, I took that very personally. I thought it was because of my aged look that I have about myself.
Stop it, Mark.
I'm very weathered. I understand that I'm not as sprightly and beautiful as other people's on the call, but I'm just
Oh, Mark.
I'm growing old gracefully. I'm just leaning into it,
Oh, stop it. You look absolutely amazing. Stop
Thank you.
it.
I was searching for a compliment there.
Okay. You didn't have to
Satisfying.
search far. Gosh.
Yeah, I've been around for a while. So I was a long time runner and then got into triathlon back in 2015, I believe. So that's when I started my journey. I've been doing it for years and years. But it's a good pairing because I was getting kind of bored of it, to be honest with you. I mean, after you do all the things that you wanted to do, you have to kind of search for reasons to get up on Saturday and go ride your bike for 4 hours. And Lynette's been just that for me. She's refreshed a lot of my passions within the sport, and she unlocked a whole different side of the sport now with the photography and the videography side. So it's funny how you can see the same old thing, but in a different perspective and have it mean something completely different. So yeah, it's been great.
That's good. So your perspective and vantage point changes when it's behind the lens. And it's a different perspective.
It definitely is. I mean, I would say shooting the first couple races, having never done a triathlon, I definitely did not understand the difficulty of the sport or what it takes to do a triathlon and everything within the race, from transitions to fueling, all of that. But then after doing one, I was like, wow, this is a very hard sport. It's very humbling. And I would say doing it definitely changed my perspective when behind the lens, what I'm looking for. And
yeah, and I think initially that was something that maybe we spoke a little firmly to each other about things during the editing. She wanted to, oh, look at the bike. No, look at her face. Look at the sweat dripping off. Like we definitely had a slight difference of opinion of what in a picture embodied triathlon, right? And I think Lynette has such a wonderful eye for editing and cameras and videography. She's the lead editor. I'm just a big dummy who'll go out and ride on a bicycle with one hand next to somebody in full aero and risk my life. But she really brings the magic out. And then, we both edit, and I think we've grown together. My appreciation of her ability to edit and find the beauty in pictures, and her appreciation in me being able to kind of point out, what's really remarkable about a picture in reference to the sport of triathlon.
Yeah, I would say I definitely started with more of an artistic look at like the swim start and athletes setting up. So I had more of an artistic look behind the lens.
Kind of a portrait background.
Yeah. So, but he was like, get a swim, bike, run of each row. So he was more very much checklist where I'm like, but I love this moment. And I was very moment focused.
Yeah.
So we've kind of tried to combine the two.
We're at a happy place now. We
You
stop.
worked out all the kinks.
We stop. We stand at arm's length apart when they're editing, and things are not kidding. We're good. No, it's been great. I
love y'all.
love it. I love our life. I'm so fortunate to have a wonderful, beautiful woman and someone I can share this with. So
that's what it's all.
Definitely at moments pushed us apart, but brought us together.
Yeah. Especially on the 14th hour drive, driving back from Miami, and she's over there been editing pictures. So a lot of times we'll drive back and I'll be driving, after shooting for 6 hours in the sun, tired, got up at 4:30 to get to the start, take pictures of T1, and I'm driving and she's over there been editing pictures for hours and hours because there's definitely, a window of time you want to get them out. And she does a great job of like just putting her head down and getting them done. And yeah, so it gets a little, we get to our not our last nerve, but pretty darn close sometimes. But we always bond over those moments too. Like we always go back and be like, man, we're crazy, but that was so fun.
It's so fun. It's exhausting in the moment, and you try to fight sickness after getting up to go shoot a race, to editing all through the next night, to having too much coffee. But it definitely takes it out of us for a couple of days, but we love it.
And then you get a message from a man who was running Tennessee for his brother who was killed in the military, and Lynette took pictures of him. Sorry,
Chattanooga last year.
Yeah, I'm a military guy, so Lynette took pictures of him, and the guy was ecstatic. He's like, my brother meant everything to me, and I can't believe you guys took pictures, and this means so much to me. And okay, I'm done. I'm done complaining about being tired, or you know what I mean. Like, it really brings back into focus what life's all about and why you do it. And you're going to be tired, and you're going to be hungry, and you're going to act irrational and say things you don't mean in the moment. But at the end of the day, you're doing something wonderful for people, and that's what we love about it.
Yeah, that picture was at Chattanooga, and he was carrying an American flag while running across this bridge in Chattanooga that has a bunch of flags.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'll do that sometimes where I'll see somebody interesting. I'm like,
there's got to be a story there.
Yeah. So I'll just capture random pictures and then try to get a picture of their bib number and try to find them on Instagram. So a little tip, if you want pictures, try to
make sure you wear your bibs where you can see them.
Yes.
You know what? That just helped even announcers wear your bibs so that people can see them, because you never know what good picture is going to come out of it.
We have gigabytes of beautiful pictures of people that we can't see their bib number. So
can't find them.
We still try though.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, how do people find your pictures? Or if you don't reach out to them, can they go to your website and see a gallery and just kind of search through pictures and photos of races that you've taken pictures of?
Yeah, we have our most recent races up on our website. Full gallery, you can access them.
Yeah, all high def, all free. We don't charge people. We just do this and put them up there, and we're big on Instagram. That's our platform of choice, and we slide into your DMs like, hey,
I got some
I
pictures.
don't know if you saw me. I was up in a tree while you were running. there, and I took a picture of you, and here you go. Yeah, so we generally send a link out. We DM them a link to we use a cloud service, and they can go look at all their pics and download them if they want.
Wow. What a gift.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a, I
Yeah,
won't
it's a
cry.
lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But we just love it. Like it's it's like when you're a kid outside playing all
Yeah.
day into the
Yeah.
evening, and then you come home at night, and you're like, man, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what did I do? I'm like, I had a lot of fun. That's all I know. Like that's kind of
Wow.
how we feel at the end of our trips. Is that was awesome. And then we get the one or two folks that reach out, and they're like, yeah, that was, this that we took a picture of an athlete and her mom up at Eagle Man. We were at Eagle Man,
Yeah.
and I took a picture of
Now she's part of
now
Arlo.
she's part of Arlo. She's a pro, Barlow pro, Rachel Zelinskis, her and her mom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's all connected.
I, so I have so many questions as it relates to, the pictures. And I want to say this because sometimes people go and they race by themselves. And so they
Yep,
don't have a crew or people to take pictures for them. And so for
more
you
than you
guys
know.
just to be
Just got a
out
lot.
there,
Yep.
like that is just so awesome. And the seeds that you guys are planting in people, it's like the seeds of memories that they don't get to see themselves, but they get to see themselves in that picture in that moment. The return that will come to you guys from that, I just know will be in an overflow state because I think about, races where I've known friends that just have gone by themselves because they just didn't have anybody to support them.
Yep.
But for you to capture them, and I'm just speaking very generally, they could have been like, man, that moment meant everything to me. Because in that moment, this is where my thoughts were. But this expression on my face didn't say that, or this expression on my face really said that. Like pictures just capture so much. And then you guys
Yeah.
do video. Oh my gosh. How did the video component come on to that?
Well, I figured out quick that if I was going to be part of the Nordica photography, I should make myself useful in some way other than that looks nice, honey. I had that down pat, you know what I'm saying? But so I have always been interested in drones and video, and um, we just thought it would be something that would just expand our capabilities to to capture events. And I just took the plunge. I went and got my pilot's license. You actually have to do it commercially, legally, you got to get a pilot's license. So I went and got my full pilot's license and just went and got a drone and started crashing into trees and learning that way. And it just kind of snowballed. It's not as hard as it looks. Once you figure out the ins and outs,
Yeah.
it's fairly technology helps you out a lot, but
Mm,
it's amazing. You get some great shots. I got some great shots up at Placid of the
mhm.
swim course. I was flying like about 10 feet off the water, right above the buoys. Then I went up really high and caught the mountains and everything in the background. And yeah, it just adds a different element to it. And it's a beautiful world. You just sometimes you're too close to it to see it. So I think that's what the drone does is it just pulls back a little bit, and you realize you're in a beautiful place doing a fun thing, and maybe life ain't so bad. So
Yeah, he's a lot better with the video for sure. He definitely, I mean, I would say I'm a lot more comfortable with the pictures, but
Yeah,
he has much more of a videography eye.
for sure.
So it's been cool to see. I'm more of the photographer, he's more of the videographer, and pulling that together. So
Yeah, and I'm willing to cycle at 150% of my FTP while sitting upright, one-handed on a bicycle in order to get the shot. Okay. My coach doesn't like it when I do it, and she's like, "Hey, what were you doing this weekend? You're like your training stress is through the roof. I'm like, yeah, I was shooting, no big deal. Just trying to keep up with Jason West on the bike course
I
down
was
at my
just about to say that must be a professional that you're trying to keep up with on the course to try
man.
to take their pictures. Oh my
I ain't
gosh.
lying. My legs the next day, I was like, that was the dumbest probably thing I've ever done in my life. Like that was just not wise.
But
Even Jason, when I passed him, he's like, "You're going kind of fast," he yelled out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
shout out
all
to
work.
Jason West who just won uh Clash.
Flash Miami. Yeah,
Yes,
he
Clash
won.
Miami. He won. Shout out to Jason for that.
Good showing
He's
for Varlo down there. Jason West, Grace
yeah,
Alexander,
yeah.
Brittany
Higgins,
Higgins,
Olivia
Olivia
Dietzel.
Dietzel. Yeah, good crew
Team
down there.
Barlow. Let's go. Let's go.
Saj was down there too.
And
He was
Jake.
and Jake. Yeah.
And Jake. Yep. Yep. Some
Pat.
good folks. Good folks. Love the Barlow people. Um, okay. So what races will the Nordica photography be at this year? Or do you have your schedule already set?
Pretty much set. So, I wanted to say something because Ironman does the photography, and afterwards you can go buy your pics online, right? On outside. We do a lot of different angles, I'd say, at the Ironman races, but we also shoot local races. So we'll go out to a race series here. This is NC Tri Series in town,
Okay.
and we'll shoot the whole thing and get with the race director and be like, hey, we're crazy photographers and we're gonna take a bunch of pictures and we'll give them to you, and they love it, and that's been great. And we just did the Tobacco Road Marathon. We went to the expo and took pictures for them, and so we do a lot of local stuff. And my point is that the that that kind of thing you're talking about, how people show up alone to races,
Mm-hmm.
that's been one of the things that I really caught on. Like there are a lot of folks that do this sport alone, and not it's at every level. It's not just even some of the pros
Yeah.
that we talk to. They're like, "Yep, I'm here. I gotta do my makeup, and I'm also my bike mechanic, and I'm also gotta, I'm a lead photographer." So they they really appreciate it as well. But our schedule, to answer your question, uh, it goes off of our race schedule usually.
Mm,
So Lynette's going to go back to St. George in May.
okay.
That's the North American Championships, 70.3.
Okay.
So we'll be there for that. We did Clash Miami. Um, we'll be at the Boston Marathon. I'll be running. Lynette will be taking pictures.
Okay.
What else? Oh, and Happy Valley.
He's racing
So
Happy
I'm
Valley.
going to race. That's going to be my first race back. Happy Valley, 70.3.
I shouldn't be clapping like that in the speaker, but oh my,
It's
that's really okay. Sorry.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm a Pennsylvania native, so I thought it fitting to go up there, and it's far enough away. It should give me enough time to get fully healed and get it together. And then after that, I think we're gonna go up and see the PTO North American race.
Oh, in
Patriot
Milwaukee.
Nationals. Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
we're gonna be up there just taking pics. So we both of us will be up there just shooting pics. There's a guy named Jan Ferdano up there. I don't know if you know him, but
He's a
this
yeah,
is
I've heard of him, you know.
I'm a huge
Heard of him.
fan of Jan's, and he's old like me, and he still hangs with the youngins. So
And gives them a run for their money.
he sure does, and I respect that, being an aged person. But I want to go see him race one last time and maybe take a couple pictures. And that's all we got so far. Beyond that, I'm not sure.
A lot of it's kind of up in the air. It's kind of hard to plan a lot of races while we're trying to train and
Yeah,
go to our own races. So
it's a lot, but we do like last night when I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, hey, St. Anthony's down in Clearwater or down in St. Petersburg. Yep. We could drive down there. We get down there in 11 hours, and we could be back on Monday and not really miss anything. So a lot of stuff happens that way too. We'll see a race,
very spontaneous.
or we'll have people who are friends of ours that are racing, and we'll be like, hey, we could go. We could do this.
We can do this. I love it. Well, and be on the lookout for on your social media channel, because I'm sure that you post if you're going to be at a race so people can DM you. And that's at the Nordica Photography on IG, at the Nordica Photography.
Yep.
It'll be in our show notes if you need to see it, but we'll put it in our show notes so you can see it. All right, let's go transition into race mode, right? Like,
All right, racing.
that racing, how did you get into racing? And we want to talk about this comeback, which I'm really excited to hear about your comeback, but we'll save it till and make them listen to the end. But Netty is new. You are a veteran. Let's go. Anybody can go first to tell us about their first race experience. Very first one, not the third, not the fifth, the first.
Go for it, Lynette.
I mean, mine's kind of somewhat fresh. Yeah, my first sprint was last June. I'm not a swimmer at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, the week of, it was definitely a spontaneous decision. So Mark told me, he said, there's a sprint this weekend. If you want to try triathlon, this is in the area. You might as well try it, see if you like it, but you should probably start swimming. So the week of, I signed up, jumped in the pool. It was horrible. The swim in the race, I was so nervous. Like, even the night before packing for the race, he's like, have you packed everything? Like, I'd done it before. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, all right, it's not that hard. Go through your swim. What do you need for the swim? What do you need for the
It's not that
bike?
hard, right? That's the thing you should say to anyone who's struggling. This ain't that hard. That's so, I'm so proud of that moment, but keep going.
I wish I would have known you, Nettie. I would have been more compassionate and said, Nettie, this is a list of the things that you need, Mark.
I know. I'm sorry. Man,
No,
what are we gonna do?
he ended up being like, okay, I'll help you.
Yeah, it
And
took me a second. And admittedly, it was a moment where I was like, oh wow, she's really new at this. Like, like, because and let me explain myself. It's a compliment because she's naturally good at things. Like, she's a good runner, she's good on the bike, and you're like, oh yeah, she's fine. She can be okay. And then, when she went to pack her bag, she's like, do I need socks? What do I do? Should I bring a nightgown? Like, no. You don't need a nightgown. You're just gonna run and swim. But no, it took me a second, and that was kind of when I was like, oh boy, yeah, she needs help. But
yeah,
she didn't need much help, honestly.
he explained everything very well, and he showed me how to set up transition. I got there and I'm like, how do I put my bike on this rack? Do I have it the right way? And he showed me, he's like, this is how I set everything up. You're
Yeah.
gonna do this when you get on the bike. And so he kind of walked me through the steps, and my wetsuit was new and I tried it on once before, so
that was fun to watch. I wish I took some videography of that.
Oh, I
didn't get captured, but
oh man,
up for the first time all the way, and I'm like standing at the swim start, like choking. I'm like, oh,
she's like, is this normal? I'm like, yep, that's normal. Welcome to triathlon.
welcome.
Everything will kill you. That's pretty much what the sport's about.
I just remember being super nervous. I have like a track and soccer background, so the start's very different, right? So the swim start, I'm like, I'm not used to starting in water. Like, this is very foreign. I had never swam in open water before. I had never sighted, so I had no idea what I was doing.
I think she swam like 2.4 miles that day. And the 500-meter swim, because she was like, this way, that way, this way. It looked like
it was horrible. I think I stopped twice and was like, I can't breathe, because I didn't know how to breathe when I was swimming. So, but I survived it, and I remember getting out of the water being like, thank God that's over. Now I can get on the bike. Once I got on the bike, I was
Yeah, you were fine.
relaxed.
And she did very well, I think. I don't remember exactly where you finished, but she finished very well because she's a strong biker and she's a good runner. And I think that was good for you to experience firsthand
Yeah.
how important it is to at least learn the basics of swimming. Uh, it was I was nervous, I'll be honest with you. When the horn went off, I was like, okay, she's got a wetsuit on, so I know she's gonna float for the most part. Uh, but yeah, it was definitely a little nerve-wracking. And then I saw her come out of the water, and I knew she'd be fine after that. And after she finished, of course, she's like, "Wow, this is awesome! Let's go do it again."
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
The running off the bike was definitely a new feeling for me. So that wobbly feeling was new,
yeah,
but it was it's different. It's a very different sport, engaging how hard you should go and when you should, step back or go a little harder. So it's been a big learning experience. So every race, he's like, just approach it with an open mind and areas that you can improve on. And so it
yeah.
was fun. I definitely was hooked, but
Hooked
also
right
very
away.
humbled at the same time.
I like that. Hooked and humbled.
Yep.
I like that. I might use that for something. I like it.
You're up
My
there.
first one, boy, I gotta think here. So it was in San Diego at a place called it's the old Navy, Liberty Center. So
Liberty
there was
Center.
a the Navy had a boot camp in San Diego, and they sold it and they developed it, and now they used all the old cool looking buildings and made like shops and houses. Anyway, they have a triathlon there, a sprint, and I was living in that neighborhood at the time. I was in the Navy, stationed in Point Loma, and I had been swim, bike, and running. I went and bought a bike that I had no business owning. It was a specialized shiv, one of the first specialized shivs that came out. I remember just walking in the bike store, and the guy's like, "What are you looking for?" I'm like, "I want an awesome TT bike." And he's like, "Hey, that one's pretty nice." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then I paid a bunch of money and didn't know how to ride it, but it was great. I really did it all by myself. Like I was on YouTube. Like I knew how to run. I didn't know how to swim, but I went to the YMCA and I just asked the lifeguard, I'm like, "Hey, do you teach people how to swim here?" And they're like, "Yep, come back and this time place." So it was me and a bunch of 6-year-olds at the YMCA. "You're not kicking, Mark. You know, get out okay, get out of the pool. Kids out of the pool." And like they made me. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was me and a bunch of young kids learning how to swim, and that's kind of how dedicated I was to just doing something to see if I could do it. For me, it was more like a personal challenge type thing. I had been running for years and years, run many marathons, half marathons, and that just got old. So a friend of mine's like, "Yeah, you should try triathlon." So yeah, and then I went and did it, and I showed up, and I remember I asked the guy that was setting up next to me, like, where I put my stickers, and it was a mess, man. I laugh now, like I think I made their day because they probably tell that story for the rest of their life. Yeah, this triathlon, this new guy comes up, didn't even know where to put his stickers. He had a really nice bike, but he looked like he just got off the bus. So I was like, all right, I put my my ego aside and just I asked a ton of questions and I really didn't care. I was like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And some people gave me a sideways look, and I would say the majority of folks were like more than eager to help and just were like, "Yep, put your bike here and you'll come out of the water there." And I'm like, "Where do I put my wetsuit? On a hanger?" Like, "No, no, just throw it there. No one will bother it. Um, so just stuff like that. I remember it had a huge hill on it, and I remember the first time and you had to go up twice. So I was like, okay. First time I made it, the second time I might take a break, maybe I got off the bike and stood there and questioned life for a second, but I got back on and I made it. And, once I got to the run, I knew I was in my element. So it was a great experience. It was at a time in my life, um, not to get too dramatic, but I was going through a divorce, or I'd been in a troubled relationship, a very long one. So it kept me out of trouble in a way, I think, because I'm the type of person where if I don't have something, if I'm not building something or working towards a goal, I tend to pick up bad habits and start doing like self-destructive things like drinking and, partying and stuff like that. And I think I was in my mid to late 30s, and I didn't want to. It gets tough, man, going out drinking in your mid 30s. I tell you, you can only do that once a month, at least me. So I was like, I got to find something to keep myself preoccupied, to keep myself healthy, both mentally and physically, while I'm going through this kind of tough time. And yeah, that was great for me. It kept me busy and kept my mind off of things, and kept me out of the bars. So it was awesome. I did it. I was horrible. I think I finished last. I had one of the best run splits. That's how you every triathlete, when you ask them how the race went, they always mention the 3 or 4 really horrible things that went wrong first, and then they're like, yeah, but I had the fastest T1 time. Or I was the first one to take my swim cap off. Like, they come up with these made up stats that just make, kind of round out the top 5 there. So, I had that in my pocket, and that was enough for me to kind of go, yeah, I could do this and move on. And I did. And I just really, through YouTube videos and asking friends about it, that's how I got into it.
I think that's why he's so knowledgeable about not only triathlons but bikes as well. He's amazing at working on bikes, and people always ask him questions. Even pros will ask him random questions, and he knows everything. And it's
I
because
don't know
he
everything.
has,
I know a lot.
in my mind, like everything about triathlon. As a newbie, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But people always ask him questions, and it's because you've done your research. You've failed at things, you've figured it out and tried again, and
Yeah.
he's put in the time to figure things out. And
I think we're both that way, though. We both come from very large families. So we're both one of 9 children, and we're both
Wow.
we're both number 8.
Mm.
I have a little brother. She has a little sister. And I think growing up, my father, lovely man, most lovely human I've ever met, love him to death, but he didn't have time for your problems. Okay, like, he went to work and he came home, and there was spanking times, and then he watched the 6 o'clock news, and then he went to bed, and then he woke up and he went to work. He came home, and if mom gave him the list of this one did that, this one did that, and everybody got their their duly noted punishments, and then he watched the news, and that was it. So as a kid, I felt like, if you want to do, it was very evident that if you wanted to do something, there's one person that's gonna make it happen for you. And that helped me out immensely in life, especially in the military, and then with things like triathlon and even the videography thing. I was just like, well, I guess I'll just go buy a drone. Those can't be much. Like, yeah, they're a lot. And then I'll teach myself how to do it. It's
Yeah.
been great, and it reminds me of my childhood a lot. And Lynette's like that too. Don't let her fool you.
I mean, that's how I was with photography too.
Yeah,
I
self-taught.
self-taught, so we're both like that in our own ways.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think it adds a little different element to our personal, our intimate relationship, because I think we respect that in each other
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah. Wow. Some good stuff I wasn't even expecting, but learning more about one of 9 children, that's a lot of people.
I know, right?
Ooh, it's a lot of people to
I was
respect
totally
too.
against it, but by the time I was born,
I mean, I bet you were your mom's favorite too, Mark, right?
well, you're right on that one. I'm not gonna argue there.
Oh man. Um, wow, you guys have a really, really cool story. And I think, textbook beginners straight up, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
from Nettie, you asking the questions to Mark figuring it out on his own. There's no right way to try. It's just getting out there and doing it and then, figuring it out or listening to Try Beginner's Luck, going through them, going through the things so that you can hear stories so that you don't repeat the stories, but at least just getting out there and trying it without any premeditative thoughts of what looks right, what should be right, especially when it comes to like time, when it's your first time, just get out there and finish. And then you start to develop where you need to develop at, where you see your weaknesses and focus on your, train your weaknesses. That's train your weaknesses. So
Yeah. I
with
think,
that said, oh, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, I think that's one of the things that stands out in my mind is, there's a lot of barriers to entry to the sport.
Yeah.
And I think there is an element of, am I doing this right?
Hmm.
Or is this the right way to do it? And I kind of cringe sometimes. I hear people say, you should do this or you have to do that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a I would say slightly above average athlete, and I've done and seen things done very in a very unorthodox way, and they work just as well.
Yeah.
So my advice to anybody new, don't worry about being the cool kid and having the fastest bike and the nicest kit and all that stuff. There were people doing this 20 years ago that didn't wear spandex. They were wearing like, a flannel shirt and cut off jeans, and they were pretty darn fast. Like it just doesn't, you don't need all the bells and whistles to be in the sport. And I think that's the, something that I pick up on a lot at races. And I kind of take time to talk to folks and be like, hey, you're doing awesome. Like you're doing exactly what you need to do, and don't worry about it. And I've had people pass me on bikes that shouldn't even be on the road. They're probably not even legal, but they're so old and rickety, and but you can't fake being a good athlete. I mean, a good athlete on any bike is a good athlete. So
That's it.
that's what I love about the sport. It's a total equalizer.
That's something I've noticed too, being new to the triathlon community, is even among the pros, you can't judge who might win or who's
Yeah,
better based on appearance.
we
Appearance means nothing in triathlon, and
yeah,
I love that about it.
it's awesome. It's all about who does the work. And we just watched Kaylee Slade. She's a brand new pro, and she had the fastest run split down a Clash, man. And you see this woman, and you're like, all right, you know,
She's
she
very
she looks
sweet.
like a Sunday school teacher. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
okay.
she's from Georgia.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh, I
that's
don't
right.
know.
She is. Yeah.
Well, she went to UGA. I should say that. I don't know if she's from Georgia
And man, is
specifically.
she just
She's
a wonderful
fast.
person and
Yeah.
a lightning fast runner. And I was very, very happy to see her do well because she's a great person. So
Yeah, she that was Clash was her first pro race.
yeah, yeah.
So I've been following her and she might be coming on here very soon. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
yeah.
met her and her, I don't know if it's her husband yet.
fiance.
Fiance, yes.
Fiance. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
I
know,
love it.
it wasn't weird. I walked up and like stuck a camera in their face, I'm like, hey, and they're like, hi.
Yeah.
But once they realized we weren't, weirdos,
Yeah.
they were cool.
Yeah, I, and you're right. You never know who's going to have the fastest split. And each race presents its own set of challenges, whether it's weather, location, the course, it's all relevant to that day and going in. And speaking of, Nettie, you've done 2 other races. You've done an Olympic and a 70.3. You mentioned you're going back to Utah. So did you race in Utah last year?
I didn't. He
No.
Oh,
raced at the World Championship.
Right. But you were there taking pictures. So now what 70.3 did you do?
North Carolina.
Yep.
North Carolina. So that was your first one. And how was your first 70.3 experience?
I would say the course is a great first timer course.
Yeah.
It's
Especially if you can't swim.
It's got a current.
It's a current aided swim. Lynette PR'd her swim that day. Congratulations.
Go ahead, Lynette.
Thanks to the moon and how it revolves around the tidal.
I loved that. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that was awesome. No, that was my first 70.3, and I prefer the longer courses.
Yeah, you tend to do better.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the longer I go, it's like my body, like things start to click after a while. Like my body settles in.
Yep.
But it was really fun. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great day, nice and warm.
Perfect
weather
conditions.
Yeah, it was a really good experience.
It's a great first one if anyone's looking to do a first one. It's pretty flat bike course. It's you get a little bit of headwind, but not bad. And the run course is pretty flat as well.
And it's beautiful through downtown Wilmington, and there's a nice park. And yeah,
it was a great.
She had a great day. She did great. I only, as her coach, I would say she overbiked a little bit that day. I was actually talking to her family. We had like a group chat, and I'm like tracking her because I had done that race the prior year, and I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna beat me. Like her bike split was like crazy fast. It might have affected her run a little bit, but we won't bring it up because it's kind of a sore spot. But
my legs felt great. I had some other issues. I had an old injury flare up in my foot, and it hurt a lot, and it hurt to even walk on. So I took a few breaks, and my run time was not great, but yeah.
Had nothing to do with the fact she almost broke my bike split from previous year.
I see the salt being poured. Nettie.
Yeah,
I see the salt.
I'll get it later. I'll get it later. Makes life interesting.
I love it. So Mark, you mentioned that you're an above average athlete, and we know that because you qualified for 70.3 Worlds out in Utah. Can you take us through that experience, that race? Because you also mentioned that it's a comeback. You're coming back at Happy Valley. So just to put the pieces together for the listeners, do you want to share that story?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the guy who got hit at 70.3 Worlds in Utah in October of 2022. So myself and another gentleman named Pat Lynch, we were racing the 45-49 age group, and we were both on the bike. About 20 miles in, there's a road called Telegraph Road going down there, and it's a road where you're going west in the furthest right 2 lanes, and there's 3 other lanes. There's a turning lane and then the 2 eastbound lanes, and they cone off those 3 lanes, and essentially they use the turning lane for a westbound lane for traffic. So you're riding with traffic going the same direction. At an intersection, there was a police officer stopping traffic because the cars, when they want to turn right, they got to wait for the bikes. So there's probably 8 or 9 cars in line. I don't know, I'm guessing, but nice line of cars, row of cones, and then bicycles racing. There was a woman who was disoriented. We found out later because she was under the influence of drugs, and she didn't even know where she was. Like, she didn't know she was in a race. She had no idea why the cones were there, knew nothing about triathlon, wasn't from that area. And she just was like, I got to get out of here and get back on the highway. So she pulled out through the cones onto the course, probably about solid 15 feet in front of me as I was going about 40 miles an hour, 39.7 to be exact, as my Garmin said. And I had a couple seconds to decide where I was going to hit the car. I kind of dodged to the left. I pushed my bars to the left and hoped I could at least glance off the back of her, but hit the back of the vehicle, fairly solid. A lot of damage to the car, a lot of damage to me. Went through the back window, and Pat, who was just behind me, he kind of hit me as well. So I hit the car, he hit me, and then we both were on the ground. So pretty violent. A lot of trauma immediately. Broke my neck, broke my back, broke my nose, broke my elbow. I nearly completely severed my right arm at the elbow. So the glass from the window cut into my right arm, and they had to put a tourniquet on it. I was, bleeding out at the scene. Um, so pretty violent. And Pat, mostly skeletal stuff for him. His shoulder was smashed, crumbled pretty bad, and his tibia on his right leg. And then he actually bumped his head. I was lucky because my helmet saved my life. Like I still have it. I have it in my living room on a shelf. It saved my life. I had no real head injuries, thank God, and my legs were fine. I was just all jumbled up inside. Uh, so yeah, spent a good 30 minutes on the ground. Luckily, one of the people in the car behind her, I believe, or just behind her, a couple cars, was a retired EMT. Patty, she got out and just started directing first aid, and there was a cop there, so it was fairly quick. The ambulance come and got us and took us to the hospital. So spent 7 days in the hospital,
About 5, 6.
six, I think, 3 in ICU, 3 in the regular hospital, and yeah, then a couple more weeks hanging out in Utah, St. George, going to Target, local Lululemon. I became a customer at the local Lululemon because they had stretchy shirts and pants to fit over.
One of them.
Yeah, I'm wearing one. I got this
He
in
had
Utah.
a
It's kind of
big,
nice. I'm kind of
cast
kind
on.
of upgraded my whole entire ensemble. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I needed stretchy shirts to fit over my arm cast and my braces I had on. We didn't bring a lot of extra clothes because we were just there to race and we knew we were coming home. So I would go out in town, and the community there was wonderful. Everywhere I'd go, there would be, are you the guy? Because there was a local news story and it was in the papers, and so it was kind of cool. People would walk up to me and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm praying for you," and it was just, it helped. It definitely helped being around a supportive community, and not to mention, a ton of athletes came and saw me too. Like after the race, just came to my hospital bed and just were like really supportive, especially for Lynette. Very huge outpouring of support for her, and uh, yeah, and I've been since I got home. I've been working on some things. I think physically, I was I was I was fine. Like I'm good with things that are tangible that you can touch and see. So I saw and I felt my body getting better and stronger, and that was good. I think mentally it was a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm still not out of the woods with it. You know, Unfortunately, the woman that pulled out in front of me, um, she ended up taking her own life because of the accident. Not too long after, about a week after, and that sucks. And I think about her all the time. And, you know, I know it's not my fault, but I don't think it's any human's right to tell me what I feel responsible for. And to a point, I will always feel responsible for that. So sorry, I thought I could get through it. That always, that weighs on me. And it's been hard. Um, but I'm okay. I'm gonna be fine. I got some cool scars, and my hand's a little weird, but it's coming back slowly, and I'm getting the feeling back in my arm, and my body's fine. I just last week, it's been 4 months. Just this last week, I kind of feel like I'm myself again physically. Um, but like I said, the mental aspect, I think, is never going to go away. And I'm retired Navy, and I've been in combat, and I've dealt with death before. But I think in my experience in the military, it was almost something that I already had a preconceived understanding that that was a possibility. But when I woke up to race that morning, I didn't think that I'd have to worry about somebody not making it to the next day. So yeah. Anyways, um, so Lynette chose St. George. She's gonna go back and finish the race I couldn't do. She told me that she's gonna go like this and go nana nana when she finishes. And no, it'll be great because we'll see a lot of friends. We made a lot of friends out there, and we'll see a lot of places and things that are familiar for good reasons, not just bad. And I think it's going to be awesome. And I I'm excited for her because I think she's going to do really well. She's been working extremely hard, especially on her swimming. And I think if you asked her, she might say that she's really looking forward to having a good showing out there to honor me and Pat and everybody who kind of helped us while we were there. So that's what that's about. Yeah.
No,
Your
you're trying to.
story, your story, Mark. You're right. No one gets to tell you how you feel, and that's okay. And you process it at your time. And it is unfortunate that the young lady decided to um, end her life, and
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. And we can't control what people want to do with their life because we get a like we get to choose what we want. And
Yeah.
sometimes the pressure of facing what has been done is greater, and it weighs greater than actually living through the experience and seeing it to the end. But what I do want to say is that um Lynetta, well, Nettie, not Lynette, but Nettie, um, the way that you kept everyone informed, and your strength, and your bravery, your courage, um, I know wasn't easy for you. And you had people, praying for you and uplifting Mark, and even Pat. I think I found out that Pat was a minister
Yeah.
out in, and just, people were praying, and you being in there for 5, 6 days, that still was miraculous. There were so many miracles that I think that just happened. And I just, I'm grateful for both of you and how this has turned around and has become a testimony, right? A testament to show you're so giving, and look at life giving back to you. And so thank you, Mark. Thank you for the way you just see life. You see it half full. You see it with the goodness that I would love to see everyone see the world with. And so I'm grateful that I get to know you. I'm grateful that I met you, and that I met you both,
Uh-huh.
um, because sometimes it's different when you see people and you see the accidents happen. You're like, oh man, I hate that that happens, and you don't internalize it. But this one hit differently, and it hit differently for a lot of us who know you and know the people that you are and how much you've given to this sport. And so I'm grateful that you didn't give up on
Mhm.
triathlon, and you didn't give up on what you love, and you have so much to give. And I'm excited to see what this sport gives back to you in return, because you are doing such a amazing job for both of you. And Nettie, you go and kick some in
She
Utah. And we know that you're going to do it. And so, wow. Whew, I think we all needed that little cleansing. That was good. It helps to set the tone for the next part, which is rapid fire. And um, I want to go back and say this, and Mark, you may want to add to it. When we go out there in the race, we don't know what we don't know, but we know that if we start the race, we don't know what will happen. I was in a race a few years ago where someone got hit. You know, we're doing this and we're racing on roads that aren't always closed. And so that you only can control what you can control.
Yeah.
And if you're a newbie, Mark said his helmet saved his life. Make sure you have a good helmet
Oh yeah.
that is certified and it's good. If you've already had a hit with that helmet and you've fallen with that helmet, throw it away. It's not worth it. Get a good helmet, protect yourself, follow course rules as much as you can, and watch out for those as much as you can. I mean, like Mark said, you saw and was able to make some course corrections as much as you could, but just be careful every time you go out to race, even if they say that the race course is a closed race course.
Yeah.
Always be vigilant. Always be vigilant.
And I went through, several iterations of being frustrated and angry a little bit with myself for allowing myself to hit a car and not, um, you know, not paying attention probably the way I should. And it's part of the environment. You're out there. I was out there pushing as hard as I could, and I knew the course. I saw the cones. They were super close together. There's no way someone's not going to see the cones. It just became kind of secondary to what you're trying to do out there. It's hard to focus, at least for me. It's hard to focus on two really important things at once. And I just I wasn't focused on getting hit by a car because it was the last thing I thought would happen to me, because I felt very safe and very protected. And oddly enough, where I got hit, there's a monument.
Yeah.
The two brothers, right?
Two brothers last spring.
Two brothers last spring got hit right at the same location and were killed. And their sons were with them. They were on a father-son bike ride outing with a group, and and they're the wives of the dads reached out. They reached out to me like, hey, can we just talk? Like it was
And the same officer
strange.
that
Yeah,
was on
same
their
officer
case.
investigating it and everything. It was, yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you got to live your life. And people are like, oh, you're gonna get back on the bike, you're gonna race again. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna, because that's what I'm gonna live my life. And some people see it as foolish, but I will say this, and I've always been this way, and I think this is what kind of got me through the day. I've always been prepared, um, to accept things the way they are, and not point fingers or blame people, and just take responsibility for the situations I put myself in. And you can do all the right things and things can still go wrong. And I think for me, that inward focus of, all right, how can I do this and focus on me and not be angry and let that take energy from me, and not be casting blame on this or that and let that take energy from me, or saying shoulda, woulda, coulda, and let that take energy from me. So I think that's something I've always done in my life, and I think that's what got me through it. To be honest with you, is I was able to just go, look, right, wrong, or indifferent, you got one person to worry about now, and you can't, like you said, you can't control things, and you have to let them go and focus on what you can control, and that was what I did. So yeah, I don't
Thank
know.
you. Yeah.
Talk about it all day. So many aspects of that thing that it's just
No, it is. Whereas you're not the one to blame. I'm blaming. I'm blaming everybody. No, it's
yeah,
taking
no, and I mean
responsibility, but no,
everybody
I get
processes
it.
different. Like I can tell you
Yeah.
this much. Pat's a minister, and Pat and I talk a lot, and we spent a lot of time in the hospital together. I was able to walk, so I could get up and go over his room and bug him, but he processed it very differently than I did,
Yeah.
and I didn't. I think my initial take on it was, "What's wrong with me? Like, why don't I feel that way?" Right? But then, very quickly I realized, well, no, that's not. It's we're two different folks, and we have different backgrounds, and we're gonna do things differently. So I think it was good in a way. Not that Pat got hit, but that Pat was there to kind of, I don't know, emphasize that the way I got to get through this is my way, and the way he's got to get through this is his way, and that's it. Ain't nobody coming with you. Ain't nobody holding your hand. You got to do it yourself. And when you get on the other side, everybody be waiting for you. So that was evident right away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for letting us into your space for a moment. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, I know you're a guy with you like things half full. So we're going to do some rapid fire. Are you
All
ready?
right, ready.
All right. All right.
True, false. No, you haven't started yet. Okay, is this time? Do I
No,
get
it's not
win a
time.
prize? Okay.
You are the prize, Mark.
Oh, okay.
You
Thank you.
are the prize.
Very smooth.
You and Nettie are both the prize. Okay, so rapid fire, silly questions that allow us to get to know you a little bit better, but they're fast, silly. Um, bad. You guys are so okay. Favorite place to photograph?
Some start. Any race, some start.
I like the bike.
Okay. Favorite destination to photograph? Favorite try destination that you photographed in the past year?
I'm Lake Placid.
I would say either Lake Placid or Clash.
Miami or Daytona?
Hmm.
Daytona.
It's rapid fire, lady. Okay.
So many good ones.
Emphasize the rapid.
Rapido, rapido. Favorite leg of the race?
Run.
I like to swim because it's the most challenging.
For you?
I'm a terrible swimmer.
See, we didn't talk about that, but it's okay. We talked about so much more. Okay.
He's not a terrible swimmer.
I
I'm
was
not,
just about to
like, my
say.
times aren't terrible, but it took me the longest to become decent at swimming.
So it's one of
Rapid
those
fire. Next
areas.
question. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
We have to follow rules. Okay.
What song gets you pumped?
You're not gonna know it, but honestly,
Yeah.
it's a toss-up. Two of them. Star Spangled Banner.
Okay.
Just so many memories attached to that song. And then I just found it like 2 days ago. It's a song called Daddy Doesn't Pray Anymore.
Okay.
So,
Who is that by?
Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton. Okay.
I had a really close relationship with my father. So if you listen to the song lyrics, you'll understand.
Oh, I'm gonna go listen to it in a few minutes. Nettie, what about you?
I've been loving Nose to the Grindstone.
Tyler Childers.
Tyler Childers.
Tyler Childers. No
Yeah.
to the ground.
Okay.
We're a little bit country, but we're a little bit rock and roll. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody loves what they love. I love it. I love it. I love all music, so I just haven't heard those songs in particularly. But don't worry, I like to add things to my playlist, especially when I'm at races, because I have to think about. You said rapid fire. I see your face. I see you, Mark. I see you.
They're not gonna pump you up. You're gonna be like, this is slow and sad. Like, what's wrong?
But it pumps you up, so that's all that
Motivates
matters.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you probably see a lot of signs out on the course when you're taking pictures. What's the funniest sign that you've seen either taking pictures or as a racer?
I like worst parade ever. That's a good one.
I always love that you paid for this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. Not that this is my rapid fire, but I was at a race a couple of weeks ago, and there was a sign that says,
And there's a sign that says, if you can't be athletic, be an athletic supporter.
oh, that's a good one.
That's a generational one. You might not get that.
If you can't
Back in the day, boys had to wear athletic supporters in gym class.
in gym class.
Maybe I'm dating myself a little bit, but it was the weirdest thing ever. My school would issue an athletic supporter to you and be like, all right, 16 generations. Like my every one of my brothers probably wore this athletic supporter, and you're gonna make me wear it in gym class? Okay.
Ah, that is so funny.
That's why I don't get diseases, because
Yeah, to wear athletic supporters.
It's
Come
like-
on.
it's
Oh,
a
goodness.
thing. That's a real thing. Anyway, what's your one?
It says, due to inflation, this will be 14.2 miles.
That's very timely too.
I
I
was like,
yeah.
take a picture of this. And then the other one was like, Dad, hurry up. This is boring from a newborn perspective. I said, oh my gosh, people are so creative with their signs. It's unreal. And the last question, do you pee on the bike or take a proper pee break?
On the bike.
I pee on the bike all the time.
I
I will tell anybody behind me though. I'll be like, I'm gonna get over to the side just so they're not like getting hit with raindrops. Like, well,
What's happening?
Wasn't any rain in the forecast today. I don't know what's going on. But yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I do it, but I do it in a very civilized way.
Because you're classy, right, Mark?
Well, of course, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who pees on the bike is classy.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's why we chill. And Nettie, not yet. But what about your wetsuit?
Oh yeah.
That's required. That's the first thing I do.
I tried to pee on the bike because someone told me like you need to practice. I couldn't do it. I don't know why.
It's hard. Like I have to focus. Like it's not something that comes naturally. But yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a skill.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Evans and
Go for it.
I was like, do I call her Lynette or Nettie? And Lynette Netty Nygard.
There you go.
I am so excited to have you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And be sure to check them out at the Nordica Photography. And individually, you can check Nettie out at Netty Nonstop. And Mark, you can check him out at Frumpy Cobb. At Frumpy Cobb, all on Instagram, because they don't do any other platform. Instagram is their platform of choice, and we respect that. Whenever you try beginners luck, you always win. And that's all I'm gonna say. We out. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this has been great.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.